I'm Tom Hannafy, President of Professional Firefighters Union of Indiana.
I'm Tony Murray, President of Hamilton County Firefighters, Local 4416, and we're hosting Fire Ops 101.
This is the first time that we've put this on exclusively for legislators. The state union organized this, and we invited all 150 legislators.
We do this annually in Hamilton County for local decision makers and stakeholders in the community. Being central really helps us come together as different departments but doing the same work.
They'll experience basically what our brothers and sisters across Indiana go through every day.
We have 4 scenarios.
A cardiac arrest, an extrication, a search and rescue, and the flashover chamber. And we gear them up, mask them up.
The thing I was most nervous about was gearing up in all the heavy equipment and the suit.
Our lawmakers at the General Assembly are faced with thousands of bills in a given session.
And we want them to be as knowledgeable as possible on what it takes to keep our communities safe.
You know, when you're thinking about funding, say for equipment and various other things, it kind of gives you a better idea of what their needs are.
I wanted to understand the funding, the demands on the workers, and just the overall operations.
They can come to us and ask questions if there's an important decision we made that they're not fully aware of the implications it might have on our job, our work.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
To have one of our state representatives come through and be interested in what we do.
I think probably everyone in this position is a little worried about the flashover more than anything else.
I feel good. It's an adventure.
Most of all, we hope that they have fun.
They're always a little bit nervous, and so I assure them that we've done this quite a few times and that everybody always leaves with a smile.
I'll get this out for us, and then I'll have you guys wheel it in. All right?
I didn't feel much doing all the work.
Fire service runs 80% of the EMS calls across Indiana. That's the firefighters, both career and volunteer firefighters, responding to those throughout the state. And we save lives every single day.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get that blood pumping and get it up to the brain.
The chance of survival diminishes with each minute that goes by.
They can imagine that that's a real person, and then they understand why we need the manpower. We do, because of the way that we provide our services.
The pulse. Good job. Yeah, we said it, but now we got to go to the hospital.
To understand why an ambulance goes out along with a fire truck, there's a team that's needed. They each have a task.
It was pitch black in there. You can't see anything. We were just going by feel, trying to find a person.
We had to work our way back and look for individuals, maybe inside the structure.
Crawling around in the dark areas, trying to search for you know, a body or the dummy was incredibly difficult.
It's pretty tough when you're breathing that air and dehydrating from that dry air out of that bottle and the extra weight of the bottle.
It's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to put it on and then actually have to do work in that gear.
It's not just fighting a fire, it's the feeling of having the face mask on, of carrying 70 pounds of gear, of dealing with the heat and the danger, and not many times being able to see where you're going.
And I can't imagine how a firefighter would drag an unconscious person out of a scenario like that and get them to safety. I think it's extremely difficult, and I had no real idea of how hard that was.
It just brings a tremendous seriousness to what these gentlemen and ladies are up against on a daily basis.
When victims are trapped in a vehicle due to a car accident, we remove the vehicle from around the patient.
You want to protect the life of the patient and work as quickly as you can, and you do not take the patient out of the damaged vehicle. Instead, you stabilize the vehicle to make sure it's not going to move, and then you start taking the car away from the patient.
simulate a phenomenon known as flashover and demonstrating fire behavior.
Originally, when I saw the firebox, I was really kind of nervous about going into that.
When we first got in, we could see this barrel, I think it was, that was on fire. We were like below the floor of a burning building.
It's one thing to see things in special effects in the movies. It is entirely different when that flame is licking right above your head and that smoke is so dense that you can't see around you.
Being in that environment and learning how great the gear really is.
Those fire suits are temperature controlled. I don't know how they do it. I'm sure it's some kind of special fabric.
Well, I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie anyway, so not only was it a great learning experience, it was a real rush to be in and see them managing a fire.
We can train people to learn those signs, to avoid those dangerous situations. And we teach it to every firefighter across Indiana now.
I don't know about you guys, but I had a blast.
I hope they take away the pride that we have for the job and the level of service that we want to provide for our community.
I mean, that's why we come to work every day. That's why we show up. That's why we love each other so much.
If it was all stress all the time, then, you know, people couldn't do it for 20 years.
Number one, you couldn't pay me to do this job, and number two, they don't pay them enough.
They're ready to go in one of those burning buildings.
Probably the greatest thing that I learned today is the passion of the firemen. It's incredible.
It's to the point where we all take them for granted. We think if something happens, well, the firemen will come and just take care of it. And maybe that's the highest compliment we can give them. We expect their response to be automatic when really it's very, very difficult, far more difficult, I think, than most people imagine.
You know, they're my heroes.
It's very different than having to do this every day, never knowing what your day's going to bring.
But we have a much better appreciation after being here and experiencing this for just a few hours.
Don't pass up another opportunity to do this.
It can be a bit of a challenge to the senses, but it's also a great learning experience, so I would heartily recommend it.
Someone had encouraged me and told me that if you ever get a chance to do this, you should do it. And I am so glad I took this opportunity.
Get your ass out here and try it one time.